What's good, guys? Welcome back to another episode of GNG News. So please take this video with a pinch of salt, as the lockdown procedures can change all of the time. It's obviously up to the government that is in control. I am in Wales, so I am only looking at what is going to happen with the lockdown in Wales. So this is from the BBC. Coronavirus lockdown restrictions could be eased in Wales. This was posted on the 8th of June. So the First Minister gave his thanks to the children and young people in Wales. More lockdown restrictions could be lifted in Wales in weeks if the numbers of the coronavirus cases continue to fall. First Minister has now said, but Mark Drakeford said he could not make any promises about reopening pubs and restaurants. He said that they were on the list of items which could change when restrictions are next overhauled. The next lockdown announcement in Wales is expected to be on the 19th of June, a day after ministers have to review the rules. Mr. Drakeford said cases are falling from a high of about 400 a day at the start to around 50 new cases a day. 3 more people in Wales were announced on Monday to have died from the coronavirus. Rest in peace. So it says, what do the latest lockdown rules mean? Children worried about education in this pandemic, trying to figure out the stats of coronavirus in Wales. Speaking at the Welsh Government's daily coronavirus briefing, Mr. Drakeford said that because of the numbers of new cases is falling, the risk of meeting someone with the disease and being infected by it is falling as well. He said that if at the end of the week the number of people carrying the disease in Wales is still dropping, we will have some headroom to go on in the careful and cautious way of lifting restrictions in Wales. England pubs and restaurants may reopen earlier than planned after warnings of huge job losses. But Mr. Drakeford said he could not make any promises about reopening the sector in Wales. He said he would be meeting officials to consider the long list of potential changes for the next review this week. And then the quote says, we reduced the list to a short list of the most possible ideas, which we then look at greater detail next week. Mr. Drakeford said there are many other requests that are being made of us. He also added, restrictions were recently loosened to allow people to travel locally and meet individuals from another household. The lockdown in Wales is controlled by the Welsh Government in Cardiff, and in England by the UK Government in London, while Prime Minister Boris Johnson has proposed timescales for when rules can be eased in England, such as non-essential retail shops being opened on the 15th of June. Mr. Drakeford has been reluctant to do so, making any changes would depend on the number of new cases continuing to fall. He said, we will have to select the careful measures that we can offer to the people in Wales while remaining safe from the risk that the coronavirus could accelerate away from us again. So also as well, face masks will be made compulsory on English transport on the 15th of June. It has been advised to wear them on Welsh transport as well. In England, covering faces will soon become compulsory on transport by the 15th of June. There have been calls in Wales for the Welsh Government to follow suit. The World Health Organization has changed its advice, saying masks should now be worn where social distancing is not possible. So far, the Welsh Government have not recommended their use, although it has not discouraged people from using them either. Mr. Drakeford said that his government was still working on the details of whether to make wearing face masks in public a mandatory. He also said, the way we do things in Wales is to prepare first and to announce second, not to announce and then work out what the announcement might have meant, he said. He said further details will be given by the Health Minister Valhan Getting on Tuesday. The press conference also heard that the Health Board are training more staff to work in critical care in case there is a second coronavirus peak in the autumn. Mark Drakeford said he could give no permission or no promises on the return of pubs to open. Mr. Drakeford said normally there were about 150 critical care beds available in Wales, but at the height of the pandemic, there were 3 times that number and more staff were needed. He said everything was being done to prevent a second peak, but measures had to be put in place in case it did. As well as training more staff in critical care, Mr. Drakeford said a review was underway looking at the use of field hospitals. In the first wave, we managed not to use any of our field hospital capacity at all. Does that mean we have to shut it down? No, Mr. Drakeford said. We still need to preserve the extra capacity just to make sure that it is available should we need it in the autumn. Like I said, please take this with a pinch of salt. This can change, every single day. They are reviewing this all the time. I know that we get like 3 week updates of what's going to happen in Wales, but just take this as a guideline. Please stay safe, stay inside if you can, social distance. If you do have a mask, please wear one and just be sensible out there. But thank you for watching. I've been GMG News. Have a great day, and I'll be back later this evening.